Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Fatmata here from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art. Happy 2025. I am here to share my January sewing plans. I hope to get much more than this done, but these are the primary projects that I'm really excited to get sewn up this month. I am wearing a mashup of two patterns. I recently made this just now, actually. I cut out the top. This is a vintage McCall's 3187. I cut out a top and sort of like a shelf bra for it in 2023 and finally got around to making it, but I had more of the fabric, so I wanted to sort of mash these up. I cut down the shirt into the bodice length of Simplicity 8874 and then cut out the skirt. So I have a really gorgeous long line skirt with the offcuts from the bodice that I had cut off. I made this really nice, interesting sleeve detail. I am thinking of pulling it back, adding a little button there so that it does a little bit of that. I think that could be really cool. I love longer length things, and I think because it's slit, it's just sophisticated, it's elevated, and I'm very happy with it. It also has a lining under it. I cut out a bit of fabric out of this like anti-static, I think, knit lining fabric and lined it. So that's what I'm wearing. Now onto my January makes. One of my goals this year is to sew down my stash. I have a lot of fabrics. I'm really blessed to have a beautiful fabric stash that I've been acquiring and kind of cultivating over the past couple of years. At any point, if I want to sew up something, even if I just want a rough toile or a wearable toile, I have a number of options and I love that. I have everything from knits, wovens, bottom weights, shirt weights, dress quantities. I have sherpas, I have wool, silk, rayon, cotton, you name it, I have it. Athletic wear, swimwear fabric. I've gotten a lot of things at really wonderful prices and all the things, but I do want to be intentional about sewing it down. It is becoming a bit overwhelming. I have given away a significant amount of my fabric to Scrap Be More. It's a center that receives and resells lightly used, pre-owned craft goods. So I gave a boatload of fabric away and some patterns away, and now I'm working through the stash that I have right now, the collection that I have right now, and trying to make the most use of it. And one of the ways that I plan to do that this winter is by sewing down the bulkier items. So that's what you're gonna see in my plans this month. So I have a plan. I would really love to sew down some sherpas that I picked up at Joann Fabrics. I picked up a number of remnant fabrics because I was like, oh, Faux Sherpa, this is amazing. This is my little assortment here. So all of these were remnants from Joann Fabrics, and I have a navy, a black, a tan, and this sort of like crimson. Now they're super fluffy, as you can see. They take up a lot, but they're all like under 1 yard or a yard of fabric. I don't think that I'll consume all of this, even by making what I hope to make, which is a shacket of some sort. I have pinned a number of different color blocked shacket patterns on Pinterest, or shackets on Pinterest, and I'm hoping to at least use the tan, the black, and the navy. I have a shawl that has those three colors in it, and I find that it pairs with a lot of garments that I have. I am tempted to include the red as like a slight pop, maybe somewhere, maybe like an elbow pad or something like that, but I'm not sure yet. I don't know if adding the red would make it less wearable or make it go with less things. So I don't know yet, but that's plan number one. A couple of ideas that I have for that would include these two patterns. Now, I have previously made S9190. It is actually this bomber jacket back here that I made in December of 2023. I love the relaxed fit of this. I think I cut out the smaller or smallest size in this. It's a men's pattern, so it still gave a nice boxy oversized fit. I think I could make use of those. This is a lined pattern. I have other fabrics that I could use as lining, or figure out if there's a way that I would omit the lining. I think that I would prefer to line it. So I have this as an option that I can adapt and hack as I see fit. I also have this vintage Vogue 9350, which I have wanted to use for so long. I love this crop version. I love the collar. I think doing a collar out of sherpa would be a nightmare, but I do have a navy corduroy fabric, like a needle cord, which would kind of pick out the navy that's in there. So I could play around with that. Either way, these are two options. I might have some other options that I'm considering as well, but I do want to use up some of that sherpa fabric. This is that blue needle cord fabric that I was talking about that could pair with the sherpas a little bit. Moving on, the next thing that I would like to make is something using one of my wools. I was very happy in December I got to make a wool poncho for my mom using one of the wools that we had gotten from G Street Fabric. It was actually made out of this wool right here, which I still have a remnant of, and I have a decent chunk because we purchased this with the intention that both of us would get a piece. And I love the colors. It's so autumnal, great for winter as well, and a really nice coating weight. Now, I have a number of other wools also from that same trip to G Street Fabric. We had picked out these two. This one is for me. This is another that me and my mom are gonna split, and it has a beautiful brown color on the right side of it. I have some others here. This is a wool fabric that my mom had picked up that day that I also made her a poncho out of, I think back in 2023. So she has that. But I have the remnants and offcuts, which I think if I used it strategically and possibly added some other fabric to accompany it, could make a really nice jacket. There's also this gorgeous like tweedy sort of wool fabric. I don't have a ton of it. I thrifted it a while ago. It was $3.99, $4 for wool. And I got, how much of it? I think it's about 1.5 or so yards here, and it's just gorgeous. It has a lot of nice flecks of like reds, blues, light blues, etc. that I could possibly use some piping to sort of bring out some of those colors. So I'm just trying to think if I want something lighter, if I want something deeper, more wintry autumnal, or if I want to like add a pop, bright pop to my wardrobe. But I would love to sew up a shacket of sorts. I have the Simplicity shacket pattern. My best friend has it right now. She was working on it, so I don't have it back, but that is an option. But also if I cut out this Vogue pattern, then that might also be an option. It could be like a wearable toile just for me to test out sewing this out of one of the wools that I'm maybe not as attached to. So that would be a great use of that, and also get me into using my wool. It does take up quite a bit of bulk, that fabric, so I would like to use them. Additionally, speaking of fabrics that take up a lot of bulk, is this gorgeous fabric here. It's the most decadent fabric I've ever come across. It has a beautiful tight weave on the front. Excuse that thread there. Very, very dense, not a ton of stretch at all. None in this direction, very slight in this direction. And on the back, it is sort of like fleece line, but it is so dense and gorgeous. I made a coatigan out of this that I just finished off this December, so I'm very, very happy to have that. But with the remnants that I have right here, I do want to use it to make a pair of trousers. Now, the type of trousers. I have this Simplicity pattern 8698, and I really love the way that they construct the pocket in this one. If you can see, the pockets are actually farther in the front. They're not exactly side seam pockets. So they sort of angle where you have these lines right here, and that's where the pocket is. This is a different view. So these are side seam, but this one is just ever so slightly pushed to the front. And I love that design detail. I don't know that I want my pants in this fabric to be this tapered in the leg, and I also don't know what that's going to mean for the waist, because this has an elasticized waist, and also I would want to raise the waistline. So there are a bunch of considerations. Another pattern that I absolutely love and can't wait to try out is this Very Easy Vogue pattern. It's a vintage V8453, and I love the trousers here, but it does have darts in the front and back. It also has a zipper. I don't know how I feel about putting a zipper in fabric that is this thick, and also how I feel about having a dart in it. The coatigan that I made did have some sort of like dart, and I was able to press it down. but it is kind of bulky, but it was then covered by a shawl collar. I would have to do some practice runs on the scrap fabric and see how I feel about that. These are a pair of trousers that I definitely want to give a go. I just don't know if this is the fabric for it, but we shall see. Finally, of like the things that I absolutely want to make this month is this skirt. It might not seem seasonally appropriate, but I have loved this McCall's 8150. I think over December, Gina Seams also made it, and it's beautiful. I opened it up so I can kind of take a look at what's required of it. My husband brought me back this absolutely gorgeous fabric from his travels last year, and I just think it's gorgeous. It has so many gorgeous colors in it. And actually, if I made the sherpa out of the navy, the black, and the tan color, like I could wear it on top of this. So that's gonna help sort of make a cohesive color palette that I'm very, very happy about. I thought about making this into a dress, thought about making it into a skirt. But because of all of the gorgeous colors in here, I feel like I could pair it with a lot of tops. And that's why I'm leaning towards skirt. But it is a rayon, and I want it to not get super wrinkly. And I think if I have a lot of layers, tiers, and things like that, it might help. I don't know, that's my thought process. This McCall's pattern does require lining fabric, which would then allow me to use more fabric from my stash, again, helping my goal of reducing the stash, but also making use of this fabric that I just think is so beautiful. And as I hold it up, it just goes with everything. I love it. So I would love to make either the 3-tiered or the 4-tiered skirt. I don't know that I have enough fabric for the 4-tiered skirt. It requires quite a bit because the bottom tier on this is quite wide and voluminous. The View C requires 5 yards. I have 3 meters of this. So I think the 3-tiered skirt, and I might just make each of the tiers or the under sort of yoke sections a little bit longer so that it comes about to my ankle. I just think I'd then be able to get away with it for different seasons. Maybe if it was a skirt that I could toss on with different tops. That's my thought process, and I hope to get to this and some of those other options if I have just a smidgen of time, a smidgen. I have this double knit fabric that I picked up at Fine Fabrics when I got a voucher from DC Frocktails, and it's just gorgeous. I'm thinking of making this dress again. I just think it's so versatile. These are my 2 favorite knit dress patterns, but for a dress where I want to use a bit more fabric and to have a bit more interest, I do like this because it has that waistline seam and then the flow of the skirt. I don't know, it's a very slight difference, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm thinking this pattern for this gorgeousness. And if I don't get to it this month, maybe next. So those are my plans for January. What are your goals and intentions? Do you have any plans for January that you're excited to get to, and projects that you're interested in starting? I can't wait to hear. Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for those who have stuck with me, and I hope that you're excited as I am about getting into a new year of sewing, and hopefully more sewing for myself this year, because I feel like I did a lot of selfless sewing last year and I loved doing it. But now that I feel like I'm a bit more settled after baby, I am ready to start sewing for myself again and putting some pieces in my wardrobe that hopefully will stand the test of time for a while. You know, that's what we want. So thank you again for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
See you another time.